Now, Storm Tracker 9 weather with Chief Meteorologist Justin Stapleton.
All right, as Matt and Renee just mentioned a second ago, the Deception Complex fire continuing to burn the Yellow Complex just to the south of us near Cottage Grove as well. And as I mentioned last night, expected this today as well. Red flag warnings that have been posted by the National Weather Service starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. go through Friday afternoon for now. I do expect those to ease up some because tomorrow's likely going to be the windiest day or breeziest day. Basically, we're going to have a big difference in pressure gradient. What's a pressure gradient? Well, it's basically the invisible lines of pressure in the atmosphere that get packed in pretty tightly across the state as you have a strong area of high pressure off towards our east and an area of low pressure starting to develop along the coast. Both of those working against each other are going to create some fairly strong offshore winds in upwards of 20 to 35 miles an hour. In addition, it will be a drying wind, so that is going to take the relative humidities and drop them down. We've seen those into the 40 to 50% with a cooler Pacific air the last couple of days. That won't be the case. As we dry out, we warm up. We'll see the temperatures back into the upper 80s and 90s. All three of those ingredients all working to keep fire concerns rising over the next couple of days. 82 degrees in Corvallis and Eugene today. It was 87 in Roseburg. Tad warmer than that. Low 90s down towards Medford. Sitting at around mid to low 60s out at the coast. Pretty comfortable all across the state today. 70s and 80s sprinkled throughout. Still sitting in the low 80s now, so we haven't cooled off as quickly as we have the last couple of nights, even though we'll be under clear skies for the rest of this evening. I expect temperatures to probably slowly start falling. And in fact, we'll actually see a pretty quick, rapid descent down into the 50s as we head towards, let's say after midnight tonight, and then dipping down into the mid-40s. Some outlying areas may even be eclipsing some of the upper 30s in the foothills as we go towards tomorrow morning. 82 are high for today, 46 the low, right about where they should be for the most part. And again, no rainfall. You can see the year-to-date total really starting to hit into that deficit of 3 and about 1/3 inches. So this is what we were talking about. We talk about the strong offshore winds. There is a massive area of high pressure starting to head southward. A lot of cold polar air. Some of that is going to break off and work its way out towards the west coast. It will work in tandem with this area of high pressure that's bringing in the warm stuff over the next couple of days. So what we'll be watching for is what's called a strong surface high. Basically, high pressure starts to compress and dry out the air mass sitting off towards our east. That's where the offshore winds come from. That starts to trigger what's called a thermal trough, or sort of a heat low, and that's an area of low pressure that develops near the coast and draws up all that warm air. As the winds eventually start to pull out of the south by Friday and Saturday, guess what? All of the smoke that's been down towards Oak Ridge and working its way into portions of the Cascade foothills starts to slide back up into the valley as the temperatures rise as well. So if you're headed out to the Duck game, taking on the Cowboys of Wyoming, it is going to be a warm one. We'll see the temperatures kick off around 79 degrees. That's at 11 a.m. So as you might expect, by the end of the game, we'll likely be into the mid-80s. So here's the influence of that heat low across the coast. Coast generally in the low 60s. We're going to be in the upper 70s in spots tomorrow and likely again on Friday in a few others. For the Umpqua, that means back into the low to mid-90s. Hot and dry forecast there. Cascades, very breezy. East winds around 10 to 25, maybe gusting over 40 at times across the passes. In Central Oregon, sunny and breezy as well. Northeast winds will be around 10 to 20 miles an hour in low 70s. And for us here in the Willamette Valley, we'll go right around 86 to 88 degrees, a very breezy afternoon too, and I do expect it to continue to stay fairly breezy on our Friday forecast. For the coast, into the 70s and then slowly backing off as we get the winds to switch, more of an onshore push by Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday in the Umpqua Basin. Hey, look, might still be July and August. Can't really tell, can you, with the 90s on the board there. It's going to stay very hot all the way through the weekend. The Cascades, bone dry conditions. If you're camping, hiking, again, any spark. We've seen it so many times this week. Sparks can just set off a brush fire. And here in the Willamette Valley, we're going to be hot and dry, the summer that never ends. I'm going to hashtag that, summer that never ends. For us here
Catch on quick, I bet.
I know.
All right.